think we're live now, mate. Yes, we are. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to WHU TV live on Facebook, YouTube, obviously, and Periscope, aka Twitter. As always, my name is John, your host, and we are talking about Mark Noble's reaction to the tweet of Diangana being sold to West Brom for 18 million. As always, guys, you see here, we've got my good friend and irritant, shall we say, AJ from Kiwi Harris. How you doing this morning? Well, this evening, mate, for you?
Okay, excuse me. You just listen here for a second. What a backhanded insult that is. You're just lucky I love you. Yeah, good, mate. Good. Well, all things considered, obviously. But yeah, as we were saying a moment ago, things starting to fall into place. So
Mm.
yeah, it's only typical that football has to come in and just destroy any positivity that we may have in our lives as West Ham fans. So
Mate, as I said to you beforehand, I really don't know where to start with this. I really don't know. I mean, I wasn't expecting to do as much content as I have done this week. Obviously the Wednesday weekly chat that me and Marshy had,
yeah.
where a pair of us ranted for close on to 40 minutes about everything that was going on. And then obviously talking to the guys on Claret and Blue Army TV, which still makes me laugh when I see Frankie's put up at there because it's CBA TV, can't be asked telly. I haven't
Yeah,
mentioned it to them yet, but it makes me laugh when you put with it because it is. I mean, the initials are "can't be asked" Claret and Blue Army.
yeah.
It really cracks me up. And
Mind
then
you, for the inner lazy person in all of us, we can all take the piss at that and say, "Oh, well, yeah, can't be asked, army."
But no, it was that conversation we all had on Friday was very good. Sorry, Thursday night I should say was very good. A lot of people all saying the same thing, just under slightly different circumstances. And unfortunately, mate, it seems to have hit the squad as well. The players seem to be of the same mind that we are, which is brilliant from one point of view. It's absolutely superb that it just shows that Jim White can go suck everybody off, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey,
With his,
I
with his
don't want him coming anywhere near me, thank you.
Do
I'm
you know what I mean?
inclined to knock the prick out.
I'm sorry, but he can blow me as far as I'm concerned. Coming out with that rant on Thursday morning, whenever it was, saying Wednesday night straight, what do the West Ham fans want? Well, it's been answered by the squad. Simple as that. It's not us. I'm so glad that everybody's taken the Twitter and mostly Instagram, but Noble on Twitter, just absolutely just saying how angry they are about it makes us look better than all the pundits on that wanky radio station. Do you know what I mean? It's just because even Trevor Sinclair, who works for Talksport, has come out and
Yeah,
gone, Jim, man, you took the piss. Quite frankly,
yeah.
it was there was no need. There was absolutely no need for it, and it was absolutely spot on. I'm surprised we
Well,
haven't heard anything from Tony Cottee, to be fair, mate, on this.
truth be told, so I, probably the last few days, I've been working on a video talking about the whole Diangana saga, and the recording that I made today, which I've decided I won't turn into a video, I absolutely tore him a new asshole. I went ballistic
Mm.
at Jim White. I just, this is a guy who's clearly a wind-up merchant for us West Ham fans. He's taking something that we all know and love with our hearts, and he's just talking out of his ass as per usual, all to get a few extra bites out of Moose's sandwiches. So, as far as because what a lot of people don't realize is my background is radio. So you mentioning that
So you got a
Talksport is a
favourite, mate?
wanky station, it's you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I think I could quite happily go on there. Not that I would, but I could go on there and do a damn sight better the job than Moose and Jim White put together. Hell, rubbing
Mate,
shoulders with the likes of Sinclair
this
and
this could do a better job. Do you know what I mean? It's got a higher IQ rate than Jim White, that's for sure.
mate, my left toenail. My big toenail on my
I was
left
wondering
foot
which
has
left you
more
were going
IQ.
with there for a second. I had a horrible feeling you were saying my left bollock has got more IQ than yours.
Hey, just because you want to be blown off by Jim White doesn't mean to say that I do. You're messed up, man.
Well, let's have a look to see who's out and about this morning. So, guys, thanks very much for popping in the chat. Of course, this was relatively spontaneous. So let's have a look. Dark Gamer, hello mate, good to see you. Eden, good morning, mate. Hope you can get Marky. Hello, geeks. Stay calm. Mark, hello mate, good to see you. Sufyan's back. Hello, geezer. Stato Blue, new face. Question is, will anything ever change? These parasites will have no problem staying. Look at Ashley at Newcastle, still there. Yeah, to be honest with you, man, I'm glad you asked that question, Stato, because AJ has got a family connection with Newcastle. I've got a lot of respect for the club. I know some Geordie fans, and they are really, really cool people. And I was thinking, I never thought I'd ever say this, but over the last week or so, I'd take Mike Ashley over these two. And the reason being is, before you say anything, AJ, I can see the thought bubble bursting. The reason why I'm saying that is because even though he wants to sell up, he's still doing the best for the club. They've been able to bring it secure what's his name, the junior Matty something, that midfielder who was going to leave on a free. They got him to a new contract with one of their better players at the minute with Newcastle.
Matty Longstaff, yeah.
Longstaff, thank you. Yeah, still, bringing making sure he stayed with the club, making sure that they are still signing players. Ashley is doing a better job. I never thought I would ever say this. Ashley is doing a better job at Newcastle, even though in Newcastle the fans have had the protests and whatnot. But in the same way that we're currently doing, we're trying to do it again. That it's turned all the protests have turned virtual at the minute. Understandable. Yeah. I know there's going to be a few people sitting there thinking, right, some people will probably be literally on their way to Stratford now. And to anybody that's watching it that is going to the so-called non-protest this afternoon, behave. Don't let it get out of hand, because that's the last thing we need as a fan base. Just do it peacefully, do it with respect, because I want it to be in the papers because we behaved, and not be in the papers because we were misbehaving and throwing people around and punches and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's just, oh dear. But anyways, as I said, Newcastle are better run club, inside and out.
The fact that you want,
how shit we are.
The fact that you want, or that you would take Ashley right now, if you had said that to me in person, I would have smacked you one hard for that. You're not wrong, but still, I wouldn't say such a blasphemic thing, purely because of the fact that I think Ashley is just the most unenthused owner in all of football, and I just don't think he's got the mentality to properly run a football club. He might have done it in the beginning, cool, not a problem. But then all you've got to do is look at his track record with Newcastle. I'm sorry, but on this, I've got to disagree with you to a certain extent.
But at least they're making signings. At least they're using the money properly. At least they're keeping, and they're still keeping to their long term plan, whatever that is. That's why as I say, mate. That's why I said I never thought I'd ever say this, because I've been keeping an eye on what's been going on with Newcastle for a long time, pretty much even before Gerbishley was there. Checking out what's going up there. As I said, when my sister was with her ex, Geordie fan, and we got on really well. So we were talking about that, and I got a mate of mine I've known for 20 years who's a Geordie fan, and when every now and again we talk about the club. So I'm keeping an eye on them. Sometimes I keep more of an eye on them than I do on our own bloody club, because there's better things coming out of Newcastle at the moment than there is with us. But the problem is, man, is the fact that that's how bad the club is. And as Marshy said on Twitter the other day, and we talked, I think we mentioned it when we spoke on Wednesday night. You name a worse club run in the Premier League than West Ham.
Yeah, you can't
They're
because we've set the bar so low.
Yeah, agreed, man. Even as I say, Newcastle's run better than us. Well, there is
Yeah,
no long term plan, and as a result of it, we've seen the backlash this week. Not
yeah,
just not just from us, from you and me and everybody else that's in the chat. Everybody is fuming that's associated with West Ham, with the exception of 2-3 people. I
yeah,
guarantee
but
you is spitting feathers about this.
yeah,
Guarantee it.
absolutely. And see, these are the types of people that'll find any excuse from the past to defend um, Sullivan and Brady and Gold for this colossal farce of of a situation. I mean, if you really want to think about it, you can look at this whole transfer in two ways. The first, in particular, is the fact that on that left wing, there is so much competition.
Mm.
An argument can be made to say that Grady never had a chance in hell of actually getting any game time there. For him to have received any game time, he might have had to have changed from a left winger into a central attacking mid. Now, I'm not comfortable with that thought. The other idea,
Mate,
or
sorry, I've got to interject on that, man. Massively got to disagree with you on that, right? Fornells isn't a left winger. Lanzini isn't a left winger. Bowen can play on the left, but is more specific. Is more natural positions the right. The only person that he would really be second fiddle to is a player that apparently we're trying to sell, Felipe Anderson. That's it. That we've only got two players that are comfortable enough on the left hand wing, and even Anderson, I've said, is more of a right winger than he is a left winger. His best position is central midfield. So really, we've only really got one player, and we've sold him. Everybody else can fit in for those roles, but can't do them very well.
Antonio and Yarmolenko. We've seen them play on the left as well.
Yarmolenko is again can, like Bowen can play out on the left, but he's better out on the right. Antonio is being used as a makeshift striker, even though he's naturally a right winger. So again,
yeah,
we've only got one player that's naturally from that position, and we've sold him.
The other argument that I was going to make is the fact that there was no real, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? There was no guarantees of actually getting any decent game time as well. So, a third argument.
I mean, if we're trying to sell Anderson to get his wages off the wage bill, then the counteract to that was the fact that Grady was in the prime position to take that place.
And again,
the reason why Grady was sold is because nobody's bidding for Anderson because he's shit in comparison to the wages that he's on, in comparison to the transfer fee we're going to try and get for. That's the reason why Grady was sold, is because our number one target to be sold in that position can't be sold. So they've back up.
That's why you're looking at the likes of Arsenal, who are interested in taking him on loan. If you want to listen to the rumor mill and the crappy tabloids that people wipe their asses with as makeshift toilet paper, you've got these so-called journalists, so-called sources saying that other clubs are interested in getting Anderson. Cool, not a problem. But just how genuine is that? Because from my perspective, I'm, with all due respect to the likes of X and this, or all the other ITKs out there, there's something not right about this. You know me. How long have we known each other, and how often have I been right with my gut feelings? It's
too long and not enough.
Well, too long, and I'd say I've got an above 50% average with these gut feelings, because again, I might be wrong here, but something's not sitting right with me. Not why
Well,
would Arsenal go in for Anderson on
yeah,
loan?
the reason, and this is what I was trying to say to you, mate. X has confirmed on more than one occasion that Arsenal were looking in for him as a loan, as a backup idea. Why would they? Why would they? Why would they go for it when they got Willian from Chelsea on the free, who can play out.
Exactly.
This is what I'm saying. Clubs have 2 or 3 different ideas for formations and tactics for the season, right? And Anderson is the backup idea, as I've said. So this is
Yeah.
why I've hardly talked about it, because I mean, me and Marsha, I think we talked about it when he came on a few weeks back. It just doesn't make sense because the backup idea totally makes sense, completely makes sense. Have him as not as a main target for the left position or right position, wherever they intend to play him, doesn't make sense. This is why it doesn't sit well with you, and totally agree with you, because I'm of exactly the same mind of this. We are struggling to sell the players who are on big wages.
Mm.
If Arsenal were genuinely interested in having Anderson, it wouldn't be a loan deal.
Well, that's exactly what Toner's just said in the chat. I don't get why Arsenal are looking at Anderson when he's not even a starter for us. If he ain't good enough for West Ham, he ain't good enough for Arsenal. Absolutely spot on, and I can't not agree with that, because it's so true. I genuinely cannot understand this. I can't figure it out. I can't work it out. But
yeah,
my gut's saying there's something fishy about that one. I mean, yeah, okay, the sale of Diangana came about at the worst possible time, but in the grand scheme of things, we are looking at a defensive option. Okay, maybe we could look at getting a left winger, but there's also someone else that neither one of us has mentioned yet, and I've kind of been waiting for you to mention him, because he's actually in the exact same position as Diangana was before his injury. He currently wears the number 11 in the under-23s.
which is
Nathan Holland.
Yeah, who's going out on
Left
loan,
winger. You're kidding.
apparently. We've got 3 juniors going out on loan. Dale, I know you pointed out there's something wrong with the sound. I know. I don't know I really don't know what's causing it. The mic level is just going really low. I'm trying to adjust it, Dale. I'm doing my best, but it's literally not moving. There's always something that fucks up with this stuff. But obviously, everybody
It's
else.
just you. You're a shit person.
Everybody else seems to be hearing me all right, because Dell seems to be the only one that's picking up on it. I mean, I don't know, but guys, everyone else, let us know. Let us know. But yeah, no, agreed. That's the problem, though, mate. Is the fact that we are literally having 3. Apparently, that's what's been going around the last few weeks, is that Holland. Who else is it? It's basically all of the juniors that are too good for the under-23s and yet can't get into the first team are going out on loan for this coming season. So continue while I try and sort my mic out.
So the players that I would bring up from the under-23s, right? I'd be giving Xande Silva a fair crack. I'd be giving I would be giving Holland a fair crack this campaign. I would like to bring in James Tarkowski from Burnley as a backup option for the centre back, but at the same time, I think, fuck it, we're destined for the championship at this stage because of just how crap we are. Yes, Kieran, I know I'm too loud. I'm far too agitated, and I'm using El Cheapo earbuds at the moment, so I do apologise if I am too loud. John, you need to get something like OBS.
No, it's been working perfectly fine. It's just for some random reason it's today. Really, I mean, OBS is just way too complicated. It fucks things up. But literally, the whole system is oh shit. had a extremely old conversation with a few people last night, and everyone was absolutely fine. Everyone can hear me all right. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the day. I don't know. Maybe David Sullivan's seen it and try to get into my settings and fuck it up somewhere. But no,
That little midget.
it's because the problem with StreamYard is, as you know yourself, mate, there's no you got no graphic equalizer or anything like that. It's literally just take it from source, and that's it. But anyway, but as I say, yeah, it is worrying. And Andy, hello mate, good. Said Silver is going out on loan as well. Yeah. Dan Kemp, thank you, Eden. Yes, that was that out on loan. Signed a contract, a loan deal with Blackpool. So it's just, as I say, mate, we're turning into the club that they said we would never be, that we would never sell our best players, we would never, we'd be striving for Europe, blah 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 blah. Right? Well, we knew that was never going to be the case. I mean, it was lip service. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
When we moved into London Stadium, we had a couple of campaigns in Europe. Fine, we got how it still baffles me still to this day, mate, how we got into Europe by the best behaved team under Allardyce. It boggles the mind. It really does boggle the mind. And then obviously, us finishing seventh the following season, for the last season at the Bowling, then was again, we were on a European. So I thought, all right, fair enough. We did it. But just no, it's anyway. We haven't actually really talked about the main subject of today's conversation. 20 minutes in, the main purpose of it is to talk about this. For those that aren't on Twitter, I'm sure you guys have seen that aren't on Twitter. But as a captain of this football club, I am gutted, angry, and sad that Grady has left. Great kid with a great future. And the interesting thing about this, as well, for that matter, is that tweet hasn't been taken down. I guarantee loads of people were screenshotting that when it first came out, because I thought, right, the PR team are going to get straight on this, and they haven't. It's just, it's weird that, as I said, as we said at the start of this conversation, mate, it proves we haven't been chatting shit for the last 4 years. Noble has finally come out and said it because he's fed up of it. It's like, right, I have to speak. I know what the fan base is saying. I have to talk. And one of the other things as well, for that matter, is the fact that with Grady Diangana himself, bless him, has come out with his own tweet on Instagram. For those that are saying, for those that haven't seen this yet, I would like to say thank you to everyone at West Ham who have helped me develop and become the player and person I am today. Since the age of 10, I will forever be grateful for the opportunity to be able to represent such a great club. Thank you to the fans for all supporting me along the way. You will always have a special place in my heart. Love and peace. God bless. And as you can see here, Jack Wilshere, go and do your thing in a club that respects you. Big player with a big future. Rice saying, absolutely gutted reading this, bro. Can't believe it. I'm going to miss you massively, mate. Go and kill it. You deserve it. Top player. Michael Antonio, I'm going to miss you. And Hamish, all jokes aside, go do what we know you're capable. I think you're capable of. Massive future ahead. And also, there's a few other comments that have come out as well. So I had to do a second screenshot of this, which is also... for example, Jaren Gakia loves the fact he's left, so there's clearly something going on that caused him to leave, as we all know. Snoz, gutted to see you going, but keep smiling, young man. You're a top talent. Good luck, pal. And even Jack Collinson said you're going to kill it, my man.
Yeah, so that right there proves that there's something not quite right at the club. And look, you and I can sit here and talk about GSB until the cows come home, because, to be honest, the midget, the prima donna, and the gentle giant, for want of a better term, have done absolutely nothing over the last few years to genuinely warrant our respect. I mean, okay, they had to bow to fan pressure to get someone of decent quality in as a manager, we've had the star players, all that sort of thing, but they've always been the ones to let us down. Now, we've put up with all of their crap over the last 10 years, and we've been forced to swallow it, forced to endure the crap through. It's pathetic. This, I think, goes to show that even the players have had enough. When you've got the likes of Noble, Masuaku, Wilshere, Antonio, Rice, all commenting on this situation, I mean, that speaks levels. Now, whether or not Gold, Sullivan, and Brady strip Noble of his captaincy, I don't really know. I don't really care about. At the moment, there's one player being primed for Noble's armband, and that is Declan Rice. As far as Chelsea are concerned, they can fuck right off, because I don't want anything. I don't want to see Rice move from West Ham back to Chelsea. I think that's just a bad move. But I think overall, what we have here is the players genuinely seeing that we haven't been talking out our ass for the last 3-4 years, that there is some serious problems, and it's only taken this transfer for them to really wake up and smell the roses. That as much as we like to think as much as they like to think their futures at the club are set in stone, they're really not. And I mean, it's just diabolical. Some of the comments in the chat, I've got it just sitting here. Kent Hammer's decent quality as manager. Pellegrini came out of retirement and he was a tactical dinosaur and a waste of time. Yeah, agreed. But that was because of fan pressure. That was because we were demanding something or someone better than Moyes. And funnily enough, it's caretaker Moyes to come back, steady the ship, albeit just, and keep us in the Premier League for another season. So our last two best players that have come through the academy have been sold, Ngakia and Diangana. They will pocket that grading money. Yeah, that's all very well and good. But then again, if you want to look at the possibilities,
Diangana's slightly different, mate, because he wasn't really this bloody thing. He wasn't really sold because he left on a free. But then because of his age, we were pocketing what £130,000 in compensation for because he's a junior.
Yeah.
But Jason's asked a very, very good question, even though he's actually realised he was messed a few words out, and he's done it again, which is fantastic. Love that, Jason. Think Noble will lose his captain armband now?
As I just said, I don't think that's the case. If it does happen, it'll probably go to Rice. But I don't think they will stoop that low.
You can't strip someone's captaincy for having an opinion that doesn't criticize anybody other than the fact of just expressing his opinions. If he came out and gone, "You're all a bunch of cunts," then that's slightly different. But
yeah, that's an egregious.
Noble's wording of his tweet, and I guarantee he said a lot worse and a lot more bluer and shorter words with shorter letters in them to everybody in the club and probably to Moyes and a few other people than he has on that tweet. I guarantee it, because as he said, it proves that he is still keeping an eye on how everybody's feeling about things, as we said earlier. And
see,
go on, mate.
I wouldn't be stripping if I was the one that was, in charge of all of that sort of shit. I would be saying to Noble, look, you've actually done a good thing here by rallying the troops and really sending out a war cry. You've done the right thing. I don't think the board will commit public suicide by stripping Noble of his armband. I think at the most he'll probably get a warning, if that. But it would take something seriously egregious for him to lose his armband. And considering he's, potentially in his last full playing season with the club, I don't see that happening. I genuinely think, though, Moyes is the man to take us or to keep us in the Premier League again for another season. But these owners, these people have to really sink a lot of coin into this, and I'm meaning their sex store object things. They need to sell a hell of a lot of that crap to get money in to save West Ham, because at this point, I think I think we could be in for a rocky road. I don't. There's a lot of things that I see happening. There's a lot of things I don't see happening, and this whole point of the whole question of, should Noble be stripped of his captaincy? I don't think that's right. I also don't think Rice will get implicated in anything, considering he made a comment as well. So if we're stripping people of captaincy based on something that was said on social media, that rules Noble out. That definitely rules Rice out of being club captain in the future.
Right, it looks like I've actually sorted for some stupid reason. It's taking me about 20 minutes to try and figure this out. For some stupid reason, my microphone was defaulted down to a ridiculously low volume. And now it's working properly. So, guys, you can hear me properly. Thank you. Half an hour into 10 minutes of trying to piss around with it. But anyway, guys, as I said, you're absolutely spot on. What I will say is the fact, in terms of public suicide, the owners are already on the steps of the guillotine as it is.
Well, that's so true. At the end of the day, that is so true, because this is technically a form of public suicide by axing a player that was primarily sent on loan to get that experience to come back and have an integral part in this season.
Mm. But as I was going to say, Andy said earlier, we've never had good owners, and I've been going since '86. The Cairns, Brown, the scumbags. The only owners that might I think Andy's kind of missed part of the conversation there. To be honest with you, I agree with what Baz has been saying. But Andy, you're absolutely right. Over the last 30, 40 years, we've had shit ownership. And what Baz has been saying, I agree with him. The only ones that had any mind to do it, but even though it's a little bit contradictory to a degree, because these owners are doing exactly the same thing that the current board are doing, is throwing money at players. Was the Icelandics. The only reason why they had to sell up, obviously, because their bank stocks crashed, and everything before everybody else's did. So that was the only reason why they left. I guarantee if that was still sorry about that, guys. It's just one thing after another. It's this. I literally got my hands here. I'm not doing anything. It's this bloody thing. Atlantic Consortium, exactly, Andy. Yeah. It's just and as Mark says, was it Egner Magnuson, whatever his name was, little Yoda. Yeah. It was just I guarantee we would have had the money to renovate the East Stand, which we clearly didn't have under these current owners, as Leon confirmed on Thursday night. And also that we would have been able to have a better push. We would have had better players. David Sullivan, as we all know, loves to hide behind the fact of financial fair play, right? And then which basically even though the definition of income is pretty varied, which is why City have been held over the coals, but not really been penalised all that much, because they've kept to the rules of how it is. Just the rule itself isn't the right thing isn't worded correctly. It's just the fact that how things are is the fact that income is classed is what you make. So sponsorship, TV rights, publicity, all that sort of stuff. All the money you come in from being the club that you are is the only amount that any club is allowed to spend. That's putting it in a massive nutshell without going into the full legal ramifications of it. And as a result, Sullivan is planning and has planned for years to spend more on wages than he has on buying players. Because otherwise, for example, we wouldn't be spending 120 plus grand a week on Jack Wilshere, who can't complete a season, even though he came bloody close with that loan with Bournemouth. He hasn't completed a full season for what, 5 or 6 years. Same thing with Andy Carroll. No disrespect to both of those players, very, very good players when they're fully fit. Which is the fact, the list is endless, as it is for all clubs. The list is endless of players that we've come in and not been able to see properly because it's cost us X amount of money all the time. But this is the thing. What was it? The player we got from Newcastle, but saw about 4 times that everyone jokes about. Oh, come on, guys! Help me out in the chat here, guys. I've got brain freeze with this player at the minute. It's good. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I can see the player. What was his name? Dyer. Kieran Dyer. Yeah. How much did we? Thank you, Del. Yeah, you said it just as it came through. Yeah. How many times did we see him in that season? 5, 6 times. It's. Yeah, and and as I say, that was even before the Icelandic the current board ever came in. So from one point of view, I'm not justifying them in any shape or form. I'm just looking at just applying the logic here and playing devil's advocate. We can't say, these owners are throwing money left, right, and centre. I mean, they are, but because the other owners have done it beforehand. It's the way that the Premier League is, and that's half the point. That is half the problem. But at the same, and as supporters, and I'm including myself in this, and I'm saying as supporters, we can be very hypocritical, criticizing someone for doing something and yet praising someone for doing exactly the same thing we've criticized someone else for doing. And it's just as I said, this as I said on to Baz and Frankie on Thursday night. If barring a miracle, this is my last season as a season ticket holder. So that's it. I'm done. I'm done. And I've got a horrible feeling. Under this circumstances, I massively want to be proven wrong in the next 3 to 4 months. I honestly think this is going to be Noble's last season because his contract ends at the end of this coming season. I think he's gone as far as I'm concerned. If he renews, fair play. He's renewing for a club that he always he's loved and absolutely adores. But just the tone of the tweet we've mentioned and everybody's seen, I think this is it. I think this is the last of it.
I think you're absolutely spot on there, to be perfectly honest with you, because you've got a player that's racked up well over 500 appearances for West Ham. He's only ever been officially signed to this club. Yes, okay, he's been out on loan to, I think it was Ipswich and Hull. Yeah. But this is a guy who has dedicated pretty much his life to. He is Mr. West Ham. We know this. We support him for the most part, week in, week out.
Yeah.
This guy, if he's coming out on Twitter saying essentially, what the hell is this? That speaks volumes. That says a lot, because we know that his word is taken seriously behind closed doors. We know that he's the guy that the management team and the board turn to if they want a feel of the players. They always turn to Noble when they do it.
That's the thing.
It's so I genuinely feel that yes, this is Noble's last season. I don't see him retiring. Well, I don't see him signing on. I genuinely think this is his last hurrah before he goes and gets his coaching badges and, really starts up something within West Ham. I don't think we'll ever get rid of him. He'll hang around like that. Not really bad smell because he's not a bad guy at all. But I don't think we'll see the last of him either. So yeah, as Mark English just said, noble by name, noble by nature.
Exactly. And
That's Mark.
completely. And Tone's absolutely right here, mate. You're absolutely spot on. Thing is, clubs are businesses to boards, and they want to make money. But for me, the reason
I genuinely think his internet has crapped out again. So this is great fun. But no, Tone, you're absolutely spot on. You genuinely are. I think you've, yeah, I don't know what more I can really say because it's one of those things that's like, well, oh, well, this is a bit awkward, isn't it? I think this is one of those things that's just,
I'm going to kill BT. I'm going to slap him left, right, and centre.
Welcome back, Mr. Host.
I'm gonna absolutely kill him. TSC, I've blocked your comment because there's no. Don't advocate anyone saying that stuff. Right? Nobody should be spitting on anybody. You're in a timeout on that one, mate. If I see anything like that again, you are blocked from the channel. Show some respect to people. That is beyond the pale. We all hate them, but you do not advocate. I know you're trying to be funny, but you do not advocate having that sort of attitude to people. It's unforgivable. Right, so go on, mate.
Yeah, well, I was basically just agreeing with Tove's comment. He's spot on. Unfortunately, it comes back to that whole fact that we've been force-fed shit for the last 10 years. We never should have moved from Upton Park to the London Stadium. I did see the benefits, the potential benefits of it, but that dream hasn't worked out. We've been sold a dream, and unfortunately, we've had to endure it. But at the same time, could we really have stayed at Upton Park? And that's always a debate that's going to be going on for as long as time remains, basically, because everyone's got their own 2 cents that they can pitch in on that. But I think what we have here is a club that is well and truly in turmoil when the players are backing the fans. That speaks volumes, especially when it's the club captain, for crying out loud, that's leading the charge on behalf of the players. And for those GSB
sorry, mate. I just need to comment on this, right?
Yeah.
Kay Martin, I'm not a West Ham fan, and I came across this channel because I want to know why selling Diangana is such a big issue. Please explain to me. 2 things, Kay. First of all, rewind the video to the start, and second of all, explain to us why it isn't such a big issue. Because this is what everybody, including the players, are currently talking about. Continue, mate.
This for me is just, it's pathetic. I don't even know what the right word is because I'm just that frustrated behind all of this. As I said to you earlier in the stream, I tried to do a video. I can't imagine how many times I've tried to record it, and every time I've had to walk away from it completely because I've been too fired up. This thing is just, it's diabolical. It's shambolic.
And also, it's not just us normal people that are pissed off with this. Andy Lapthorne as well, who is a disabled Olympian, I think is probably the best way to describe it. So this is actually sickening me. Don't be emailing or calling me anymore asking for favors. I'm ashamed of this football club tonight.
So there's one person that I would love to hear from, and I don't think many people actually know. Now, you and I watch Formula One,
Yeah.
And of course, with this being the Italian Grand Prix this weekend, which I can't wait for, there is a certain Sky F1 commentator by the name of David Croft. Now, he is a season ticket holder. He's a West Ham fan through and through. I would love to hear Crofty's thoughts on this purely because of the fact that he's been going for at least 40 years. So he's sat through this shit as well. And it's just, I'd love to get his perspective on it.
The problem is, mate, he never will.
No,
because
no.
While he's working for Sky, I mean, I know he's an employee. I know he's an F1, he's an FIA employee and everything, but he's classed as a Sky Sports employee as far as the nation's concerned, and including Sky Sports. Because if you watch them on Channel 4, it's still the same. There's still exactly the same people having exactly the same conversation. So they just Sky pay the FIA for their time, sort of thing. But it's never gonna happen because it's, as I said, Sky Sports. If they tell Sunday Supplement to retract it, then they will go all guns blazing with that geezer as well.
Mark English, Sky employees need to grow a set of balls. Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely, totally,
much.
Yeah,
well, we've seen. Look at the demise of Soccer Saturday. Okay, yeah, Letizia and the rest of those muppets. Speak of them what you will. We all have our own opinion on them. Personally, I thought they did offer.
Just quickly. Sorry, mate. You know me. I hardly ever watch Sky Sports at the best of times. I only really watch Sky just for the Formula One. I don't watch it for any of the football coverage whatsoever. I'm not interested in the channel at all. What was the reason that those guys were sacked? Did they actually say anything, or was it literally just a fact of their contracts were finished and it was they wanted to bring in new and younger people?
I think, to be fair, I think it might have actually been a part of this whole Black Lives Matter movement, and the geopolitical landscape of today, for want of a better term. That could be part of the reason. It could also be a bit of a reshuffle within Sky. I don't know per se. I enjoyed some of the videos that they've put out on YouTube and the streams that I've watched when watching West Ham, play. There have been some pretty decent, commentaries from the Sky team, but overall, I think, yeah, they do need to grow a set of balls pretty much, because everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Why are we censoring everyone's opinions just because of the fact that they might cause some form of slander, for want of a better term? I don't understand it. So for me, yes, Sky employees do need to grow a set of balls, but there's also that public image that needs to be maintained as well, and that is something that I do understand. Given my line of work, I have to be very, very careful because I am in the public eye virtually 24/7 when I'm working. So I'm always careful about that image. But I think if they've been sacked because of this BLM movement and the whole geopolitical landscape, then yeah, I don't know.
It's nothing. It's nothing to do with BLM. It's the way this has been going for decades. It's the fact that you're absolutely right. We're turning into a George Orwellian style community where it's there. Like, for example, one of the funny things, I was watching the movie Demolition Man the other day, right? We are so close to how things are in Demolition Man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
because the like, for example, all the restaurants in the movie. Well, depending on what country you live in, all the restaurants in the movie are it's Taco Bell or it's Pizza Hut, depending on what part of the world you live in. It's really random stuff for that bit, but and that's the way it's going, mate. The fact that you can't abuse, you can't swear at anybody, you can't swear at all, because I mean, you shouldn't really be doing it anyway. But sometimes sometimes circumstances call for that sort of language, shall we say? But at the
Like
same time,
seeing your face, for example.
Listen, Puggy. Listen, Puggy. Yeah.
Bring it. What are you gonna do?
I'm going to wait for you to come over to Norwich, mate. That's what I'm going to do. I'll stalk you down and track you down and kill the shit out of you. But seriously,
Don't threaten me with a good time.
But it is literally just a Dell, absolutely right, mate. What are the shells for? We're not that far off, honestly. I'm telling you, man, we're not that far off where you can't touch anybody. You can't do it. I mean, the pandemic is making sure that people aren't touching each other. That's the funny thing with it. They go up and they don't shake hands. They just do that with each other and all that sort of stuff. We aren't that far away from that society, and that's the worrying thing. Where you can't say anything, you can't express an opinion, you can't touch each other. It's just the way that the so-called civilization is going.
Did you ever watch TNT's The Last Ship?
Don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, for those that know, Jesus, Mark, you're on fire. Virtual sex is the way forward. I refuse to comment. I think, for those who have seen that show, you'll understand the references I'm about to make. The fact that we're in a pandemic, the fact that the world is turning to absolute hell, all of this could be part of, I think it was the middle of season 1 to the middle of season 2 of The Last Ship. John, go watch it. You will love it. Absolutely love it. So, yeah, just my 2 cents. But hey, look, there's a football game on this afternoon. What do you reckon? What do you reckon?
This, I said to Baz and Frankie a little while back that when everybody was losing their shit over the first 2 or 3 friendlies that we've played and we've won all of them, I said out of the 4 friendlies that we're doing, the Bournemouth and the Brentford games are the ones we really need to be paying more attention to. Purely Bournemouth more than anything else. Because, obviously, as we know, they got relegated. Brentford were this close from getting up to the Premier League, so they are the what a surprise! What a surprise, Del! Really 3-1 every single time. You can't do it. You can't not do it. But yeah, it's but those 2 teams are the ones that we need to be concentrating on the most, because they are the teams that are about as close as we can get at the moment, that have Premier League style mentality.
Yeah.
Now, and as much as I've watched with Rico Henry, I get everyone's opinions on that, saying that that he only looks so good because Yarmolenko hasn't got pace. Totally, that's fine. I can completely see the logic behind that. But as I said, we need to sort our defence out. Now, who asked it earlier? Clint X, is West Ham Bournemouth game on their YouTube channel? No, it's not being broadcast on YouTube. The highlights will be up. You can watch it on West Ham's Facebook account, and you can watch it on Bournemouth's website. I think Bournemouth have got their own Facebook feed on it as well. But yeah, I say the highlights will be up on there. But as I said, this game is, I wouldn't say it was make or break, but I think under the circumstances, it'd be interesting to see how their mentalities are going to be. That's what I'm more concerned about.
Speaking of that, because Kieran's just put up a great point. The sad thing is now no one cares about today's game. I can agree to a certain extent. I think this is the biggest test that we're going to face in this preseason. This preseason overall. I think Bournemouth, being ex-Premier League team, they're going to want to take their anger out on someone. Unfortunately, it is likely to be us. I'm not hopeful. In fact, if anything, I'm fucking bricking it, because I think, given everything that's going on, I don't think they're going to be able to keep this out of their heads. I think this is really going to bring down the morale, and I think we could be in for a painful afternoon. Well,
Mm.
afternoon for you guys, early morning for me, because I think it's about 1 o'clock in the morning for me. So
It's 3 o'clock kickoff, I think. So it'll be what, 2 o'clock?
yeah, sorry, 2 o'clock. Yeah. So, for me, I mean, I don't sleep much anyway, so I don't have too much of a problem. But I think it's just one of those things. Kay, basically, to put things into perspective, a player that we had invested a lot of time in has been sold by our owner without talking to the manager or anyone like that. The whole club, because of how quick this transfer happened, the whole club is just up in arms at our owners for making this pathetic decision. No one will care about this game today purely because of the fact that we are all hurting over the fact that this player has left the club, and that's pretty much it. This guy was a popular player coming up from the academy into the first team. A lot of players loved him. That's basically it in a nutshell. So,
well, to put my spin on it, basically, Kay, I asked you to confirm why it isn't an issue. You didn't answer it. You also asked before that question, do you guys think you will sign anyone? You're not a West Ham fan. You clearly just on here to try and troll people. So that shows more about yourself. So, but AJ, you've rounded it up completely nicely. But it shows that Kay is just here to cause aggravation, has no clue about the club whatsoever. Unfortunately,
either
it
that or
happens.
she is genuinely interested.
If they're genuinely interested, that's one thing. But to say that you're a West Ham fan and can't understand why everyone's going the way that they are shows that you don't know the club. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But no, I'm thinking a 3-1 loss for today's game. If I'm being brutally honest, I think it is going to be a loss. And I think Dell or Dig or whatever his name was, I think he is right, but it won't be the way he thinks. I think it will be a 3-1 West Ham loss. So... But hey, I could be wrong about that.
Don't worry about Dale, mate. Don't worry about he says 3-1 for every single game. Even with the watch down the watch alongs we were doing during lockdown, he was saying 3-1 for his. I told you. Then he literally went boom, quiet, very quiet when scores went the other way. But no, but seriously, guys, it is friendlies. I've maintained it, and today's more than anything else. There's no more reason than anything else. Friendlies about match fitness and seeing how players play. It's got nothing to do with. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the result. They are pre-season friendlies. I know there's a couple of people that come in on a regular basis and do actually joke said that with those friendlies we got against Ipswich and Wycombe Wanderers that we had 6 points. But it's because some people do have that mentality. The fact is that if we've won, we've got points on the board, which is which is not which is not the there's nothing bad about that in any shape or form, because at the end the end of the day, sorry, Kay, you did apologies, mate. Yes, I misread your message. You say that you're not a West Ham fan. So apologies for that. And Rick, thank you very much for putting your super chat in. I'm glad the super chat's working. So for some random reason, it was literally the last time. Must have been something going on Wednesday night, maybe because of the live stream I did where I age restricted it. Maybe you can't do super chats through that. But having said that, I don't think that when Nicky did his broadcast, it was either West Ham Fan TV or Claret and Blue Army, one of them, where they had a live conversation, and super chat wasn't available for that either. So I don't know. Maybe it was something that YouTube was mucking around with, but it's clear that the monetization from YouTube has changed slightly, because you can now have adult restriction and get monetized for it, bar bad language. Whereas beforehand, if you had adult restriction on it, you couldn't get monetized at all. So they've obviously they've obviously served their time for the child prevention ban that they got a little bit. Kay says, I saw on Sky Sports the deal was controversial, so I did my research and ended up on your channel. Well, thanks, mate. Much appreciated, of always. But yeah, as I said, so as I say, Kay, apologies. I thought you said that you were a West Ham fan. Yeah, but as I said, it was more than explained in the meantime, and AJ summed it up very nicely for you. So I hope you do realise, because at the end of the day, West Ham has always been. I think this self-proclaimed nickname is a bit detrimental from one point of view, especially under these circumstances, saying that we're the Academy of Football. We used to be. We haven't been for a good few decades now. We thought slowly we were getting back into that level of mentality with ownership, bringing through juniors every few years and all that sort of stuff. And but the Academy of Football is right to a degree, because we're bringing through world-class players. The likes of Bobby Moore, Frank Lampard Jr., and Lampard Senior technically as well, for that matter, along with we can, again, with the list is long, really, really long, of players that we should have kept hold of and went on to represent England in very, very glorious circumstances. But the problem is the fact that, as I say, that it's just the fact that this is what is causing the dissent. And Havad, you're absolutely right, mate. It is all so tiresome. It is. It's completely. And Mark is agreeing with me. We're not the Academy of Football anymore.
Yeah, I have to agree completely with that, because this was just one of those. I'm just at the point now where I'm just so over it. This week has literally been the week of hell, because it could have been a hell of a lot worse as well, especially if Chelsea had come in and Rice had walked over or back over to Stamford Bridge. Personally, I don't see that happening at all. I think he would be absolutely foolish to go back to the club that shat on him all those years ago. But at the same time, Plus, have you noticed there could be a case there for FFP breaches, given how many players they have brought in for big money this window?
Yes and no. Reason being is because they didn't buy anybody last season. It's
because they were bad.
The income. They can say, well, we're using the income from 2 seasons. They can get away with it that way.
Too. But we're not a Chelsea channel.
But let's not forget, as I said, with financial fair play, it's not just the price of the players. It's the amount the wages that's included in the financial fair play rules as well. Kay, it'd be interesting actually if you can let us know what team you do support, if any. So I feel like you have solid players, though, players that can make a step up so much. So except of behind scene stuff, why aren't you guys kicking on the pitch? Reason being, Kay, is literally what we've been saying, is the fact that we're not keeping hold of the players we should be keeping hold of. We're keeping hold of the players we shouldn't be keeping hold of, I should say. We're selling the players we shouldn't be selling. The money that's being used isn't being spent properly. It's as simple as that. We got 120 million pounds from the Premier League all in last season. The 18-19 season. The details of the 19-20 season haven't been published yet. When they do, we will obviously talk about it. But the way that everything is balancing up is the fact that, as far as I can see, from what I'm understanding, is we've broken even. In actual fact, we've made a couple of £1 million profit. I really don't understand why all of a sudden we've got the money and we've got the asset strip yet again. As I say, we'll find out. We'll find out in the next few weeks, hopefully, what the last season's payout was going to be. In January, February time, the accounts are going to be out. The accounts are going to be out. Darren, what on earth are you on about, man? Souček is in quarantine from being too sexy. I know what he's talking about, because he's talking about my Facebook post that I put up the other day. He's mentioned it a couple of times.
Well, Kay's come back and said she's a Man United fan, but she lives in East London. We are her local team, so she keeps an interest. Fair play. Yeah. Fair play. That answers a couple of questions. Kieran, yes. Darren, yes. Obviously, 100%. He is our Czech prince, for crying out loud. So come on now, no more asking stupid questions, my friend.
We know him too well. That's the problem. We know him too well. We know he never actually asks anything decent. He just tried to make him sound like a troll.
He's a bloody wind-up merchant, but that's why
He
we
is.
love him.
Exactly.
Keith, no, the game isn't on YouTube. It's on West Ham's Facebook page and Bournemouth's Facebook page potentially as well. So, yeah, there we go. But yeah, I think overall, I'm just at the point now where you could say that Rice is leaving the club, and I'll just sit there and laugh at you. To be perfectly honest, it's the most West Ham thing to happen.
But that will get them approaching the noose if that happens. Yeah. If they hadn't, if this hadn't happened again, trying to sell one of our prospects, because to be fair, I know why some people don't understand why we're all kicking off with this, because at the end of the day, right, that when he was in the Premier League season before the one just finished, we saw his potential. And we all said, and AJ, we had this conversation ourselves, that he needs to go out on loan, get himself some decent football under his belt, prove himself, and he's done that with West Brom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why, if the plan was to sell him, why let him go out in the first place? We should have sold him the season before last, if that's the case.
The other side to that coin is he inadvertently put himself in the shop window to West Brom by putting in an absolute shift last season. I mean, he was on form all season right up until he got injured, and then even when he came back, he was like, you didn't miss him. I put a tweet on. I was replying to a West Brom tweet, and I was just saying, oh look, I might have to keep an eye on you guys this season. What with Slav and Julian and now Grady at the club, and yeah, I think I will. I genuinely think West Brom are a dark horse this season. I think they could easily terrify, because no one knows what they're quite capable of in the Premier League yet. And I think they are going to be a dark.
I disagree with that, mate, to a degree. I know what you mean.
You disagree with me on everything because you think you have a brain, but let's be real, you don't.
It's a good job. There's a few thousand miles between the two of us, mate. I tell you that now.
That's why I'm being such a mouthy prick, because you can't touch me.
Your time will come, sunshine. Your time will come.
Bring it on.
But we know what Slav can do. We know the players that he's got. We know the history of the West Brom fans as well, for that matter. West Brom are a club that, from one point of view, don't deserve to be in the Championship, but sometimes aren't good enough for the Premier League, and which we are the same. We're exactly the same. So, all this bullshit about too good to go down. No club is too good to go down. Some clubs can't find their feet, no matter who's in charge and what players have got. It just it happens. West Brom, when they're in the Premier League, they can play some fantastic football. You don't win the Championship outright if you're a shit team. They will cause us some problems. You look at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Same thing. All right, Norwich were second fiddle and they got relegated because they didn't plan properly. Bilic is planning. Sheffield United's backroom staff have planned properly for the Premier League, which is why they finished where they did. It's all about planning. You can be a capitalist and throw money around as much as you want. If you ain't got the plan, there's no point. There's absolutely no point.
And you're spot on there as well, because you bring up Norwich, and of course mention Sheffield United. Norwich, I think if there was a separate league in between the Premier League and the Championship, they would be sitting in there all the time.
Yep.
They wouldn't move between the two leagues. That would be them. West Brom under Pulis, they would be there as well. I genuinely think, though, this season they could be a dark horse. TSC leads going down. No, definitely not. I think they are going to pull a Sheffield United, and they'll be
Trojan is
spending
completely right. Trojan's
Yeah,
completely right. They'll take 6 point off for this, I reckon. Yeah, I know he's been a bit sarcastic with it, like, but yeah,
yeah,
absolutely right. You know, it's just, and that's the worrying thing, because if a player doesn't come in that's going to bring the team morale up, we're as good as relegated. I said when the fixtures came out last week or week before last, whenever it was, I said that we'll get no more than 37 points. The way that the team is now, we get no more than 37 points. And again, I want to be proven wrong with that. Let's not forget that when the restart happened, I said we get no more than 9 points. We got 12.
you were
So
off by 3.
yeah,
Mind you, in saying that, I don't think anyone really was prepared for that sort of a restart from us, considering we had come off the back of an absolutely shit run, and now, you know, we're
actually, to be fair,
not
mate,
only banging in goals, but we're putting on decent performances.
Mate, that was the thing. I wouldn't say it was a shit run. It was a shit run in terms of the points being picked up, but
yeah, that's what I was meaning.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we beat Southampton.
Yay!
That's why I'm glad you brought that up, because I know what your feelings are about those guys. Everybody knows your feelings on Southampton, but you know, and also the only reason why we lost 1-0 against Arsenal just before the lockdown was because of technically a rookie mistake from Fornals right at the death. You know, it happens. Otherwise, we would have had a point over that, and we wouldn't have had too much to worry about going in before. Obviously, obviously the Chelsea result was huge for us, of course. We played Newcastle, but didn't play very well.
Yeah.
In the second half, you know, the Wolves result, we could see it coming. It's just it wasn't that far off, and I honestly think 37 points is what I reckon we'll finish on. Doesn't necessarily mean we won't finish with more points than that. But just looking at it, especially bearing in mind 5 of the 6 games at the start off, mate, October's a total write-off in terms of trying to get more than 2 or 3 points out of that month. It's just not going to happen. I'll be loving the fact if we'd be able to pick something up against Man City and Liverpool and Spurs and stuff. Of course, I'd love that. No, but it's just not gonna. If it happens, I'll be massively happy about that. And guys, I'll be doing watch-alongs for every single game as usual anyway. So, but you know, it's as I said to you before we went live, I am massively ambivalent about this coming season. I am happy that we've got another season in the Premier League, but I'm scared shitless at the same point. And these are 2 emotions I'm really trying to reconcile together.
You bring up that that Liverpool result. You know, I genuinely think, call me daft, call me insane, call me whatever, that performance that we had against Liverpool, yeah, okay, we did lose the game in the end, but I genuinely thought, with the way we started, with the way we were holding them throughout that game, I thought we were looking bloody well. And if we're going to play like that, because essentially nothing has changed whatsoever from that game to where we are now. So I genuinely think, hey, we could actually do something against the Premier League champions. We've been there, where we have turned up, and we have been a bogey team for them in the past. Look at the 15-16 campaign, the FA Cup and the Premier League. We were all over them in those games. We were all over them against... Well, we were all over them during Project Restart.
Mate, but as you said earlier, you can't take the past of what's going to happen in the future.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying anything can happen at this point in time. We do need players, and yes, a left back, a centre back, another striker, potentially. I think that's pretty much it. We've got Souček on a permanent deal. That I think that was the main reason why everyone put in such a massive shift throughout Restart, was because had we stayed up, we would have kept our Czech Prince, and I'm glad that we have, because I'm fairly sure you're going to agree with this. He is an absolute beast in midfield.
Yeah, he is the
So
box midfielder that we've wanted for a long time. Wasn't expecting it to come from a central defensive midfielder, to be fair, but
no,
yeah. VN's asked a very, very good question. Are they showing all games on TV? Short answer, mate. No, unfortunately not. The government are putting pressure on the Premier League to have more games available on the telly until people start going back, because it's not fair.
yeah,
It's not fair that, for example, we can't watch the Newcastle game. We can't watch was it Wolves away after that, and whatever the other way what the away game is after that and stuff. But yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair, and they're trying to sort something out. I don't think it's going to happen. It's too soon. You know, it literally a week from today is the Newcastle game. So you know, it's yeah, it is not fair in any shape or form. But at the same point, I think it's quite a good idea from a West Ham perspective that they're not being broadcast, because it's only going to make people feel worse. It is really going to make people feel worse.
the chat's busy talking about Callum Wilson at the moment, and I just want to put my 2 cents in on that one. I genuinely think Callum Wilson is an okay player. He's not the greatest. He's not the worst. He's okay. The problem with him, I've found, is he's very inconsistent. Now, I'll be surprised if he gets on the score sheet for Bournemouth this season, in today's game. I also think that while Bournemouth are in the championship, they do need to keep their players like Wilson. As much as I think he would do well in the Premier League, I think he does need that season down in the championship just to say, I need to rediscover some decent form. As we've seen, there have been players that have gone down and just absolutely torn it up. I don't think it is a good idea, West Ham making any moves for Wilson. I think going in for Tarkowski, getting from an arguably better Premier League club than us, yeah, okay, I can see that. But Troj is right. Unless Burnley have financial problems, I can't see us agreeing on a price for him. The
Agreed.
20 odd million that was supposedly put in for him at the moment, I don't think they're going to. There's no way in hell are they going to listen to 20 million when they're wanting, I think it's like 27 million, 28
And the
million
rest, mate,
for him.
I reckon, and the rest, because he is one of their better players. I like Tarkowski. I think he's a very, very good player. Is he better than our current Giro? With Diop and Ogbonna. No, I wouldn't have said so. But again, I can see the logic behind it. I would take Tarkowski all day long. I'll take Callum Wilson all day long. But will they bring in the squad depth that we need? That's the question. I know a lot of people don't like Callum Wilson, and I understand that. I completely get it. Having said that, if he played for us, I think he played well. But I can't see what those two have to offer over anybody else we've currently got. That's the thing. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
Both of them are deemed as okay players. They're not shit. They're not brilliant. But it's the squad depth we need to. The squad has been unbalanced for a good few. Well, I'd say well over a decade by now. Well over a decade, and we need to secure that stability, and we need to make sure that the squad is more balanced. Having said that, though, we ain't got the wages for it, and we haven't got the money available to do that. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree there because it's one of these things just doesn't really work out here. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm just this mindless brute living in the back ass of the world. So, my opinion doesn't mean shit all in the grand scheme of things. But I just think, oh, really? Mind you, I've been giving you box all fucking stream, so that's fair.
Mate, you've been giving me that for 2.5 years, son. Don't give me that.
You say that as if it's a me problem.
It is a you problem. You are a problem. K Martin
Your
says,
face is the problem.
jealousy. Are you happy with Moyes as a coach? K, personally, no. But at the same point, but personally, oh, sorry, no, it should be that really, shouldn't it? Rather than that. But but K, seriously though, no, it's he's not the manager that I wanted. But at the same point, I'm behind him 100%. If Moyes resigned and walked because of the fact he's had no proper backing, and sold a player that he didn't want to be sold, a lot of people that don't like him, I reckon, will start coming around to him. But it's just not going to happen because he's got nothing else to fall back on, unfortunately. Because as a manager himself, there's a bloody good reason why he didn't have any job. Didn't have a job between when we didn't renew his contract last time round. There's a reason for it, which is why a lot of people don't want him, myself included. But he's West Ham's manager. We'll back him to the hilt. I'll criticise the players when they need to be criticised. I'll criticise Moyes when he needs to be criticised. I will praise Moyes when he needs praising, and I will praise the players when they need praising, because that's what decent people do. You see that you praise people for the good things they do, and you criticise them for the bad things that they do. But at the same point, there is nothing whatsoever that the club can, the owners of the club can do, that will get me to praise them after this. AJ, we've talked about it before, and we mentioned it previously in the stream earlier. I praised them for what they did with the staff that they've got during the lockdown. And there's lockdown still going on. Let's not forget this. But one of the reasons why they've treated the employees from the staff, canteen staff upwards, to as well as they are, is the fact that we don't have as much staff as we used to.
Yeah.
If we were still at the bowling and we had the same amount of people, I guarantee we would have pulled the same shit the Spurs have done. Guarantee it.
Yeah. Keith, no, I don't think you can watch the Facebook live stream without logging in.
No, because you have to like the page first in order to do it.
So no, I don't think you can. I feel like a new coach can transform this team. Your team is actually so solid looking from the outside. I would take about 5 players at United and 2 in our starting 11. Yeah, okay, I'm going to indulge myself here for a second. Yes, there are some decent players in that squad. The only problem is, of those 5 players, one, can you name the 5 players? And 2, do you genuinely think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inclined to put those players in? I know that one of those players, you'll probably mention Felipe Anderson. He's been absolute shite all of last season. If I'm the board, I'm thinking, right, Anderson's got another opportunity, one last opportunity to put an absolute blinder of a season in, but I don't think Solskjaer would have him at United. I don't think he would get a chance of sniffing at the starting 11. Rice, yeah, maybe. I'll agree to Rice, but again, who else is it? I know you're an outsider looking in. I know that you are. You've done some research. You've wound up in this melting pot of chaos, insanity, and insults, and for that, you're going to need some psychological help after this, because we're a special breed of human. Yeah, well, I know me. You know me.
Unfortunately.
Come on, I just think it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, yeah. Rice, I'm assuming that Suchek over Matic would take Antonio, Bowen, and Diop. John, can you disagree with that? Because I can't.
No, I can't. But having said that, though, I can't think of any Man United players that aren't on stupid wages that we could take. That's the thing.
True.
Jesse
True.
Lingard, yes, 5-6 seasons ago, 100%.
Hell
Martial,
no.
I would have taken again a few seasons
Martial,
ago.
Martial, yes. But if we're going back in time, it's got to be that 15-16 season when he did his 30 in the final game at Upton Park. You know, I thought the performance that he proved there would have been a good trial for us.
Yeah.
Our success rate with getting players from United and at West Ham isn't the greatest of late. And I am mentioning Ashley Fletcher. But in saying that, I just think that between West Ham and Man United, there's not really much in the way of difference between our two squads. We've both got the lazy players that unfortunately find their way into the starting 11 through no fault of their own. There is that talent there, but yeah, it's yeah. I don't know how to. I don't necessarily know how to end that because.
Well, exactly, but this is the thing, mate. With to be honest with you, I agree with you. But most Premier League teams have lazy players that somehow find their way into the side just purely because of the ability that they've got. Doesn't mean they're going to turn it on all the time. Keith, did you know that GSB Out was #1 trending on Twitter? It was #2 for most of Wednesday when it was me and Marshy talked about it on that time. Keith, good question here from Keith. What if GSB leave and this starts again? This is the thing, mate. Doesn't necessarily mean that if a new consortium comes in, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do a better or worse job. We have no idea. The fact is that because this has been going on for so long and they keep reneging on what they promise, shall we say? I don't want to say it's lies. I think it's more ambitions than that they weren't able to vilify. Unfortunately, I can't. I'm not going to sit there and call them out on liars. There are quite a few things we can call them out on liars for, but which is everybody's gone over time and time again, and it's boring to talk about that stuff because we're trying to talk about current events, not something that keeps happening 4 or 5 years ago. But at the same point, what I said to Marshy, and I think we mentioned when I was talking to Baz and Frankie on Thursday night. We are literally, as a fan base, we are literally in the same place that Birmingham City were 15, 13, 14 years ago, however long ago it was. Because they were doing exactly the same thing. They were protesting, and Golden Sullivan sold for the first person that had a big enough checkbook. And look what happened to Birmingham now. And I guarantee that in the 3 years' time, when the summer of 2023, when they can sell the club without giving any money to Newham Council, that's exactly what they're going to try and do. Now we spoke about earlier, coming around to this because I hadn't forgotten about this agent, but we have because we talked about it before we went live. This is now exactly the right time to talk about it. And Keith, thank you very much for putting that question in. The secret agent conversation that Spence had. Spencer. Now I don't know the bloke. I don't know either of them. I said joke with Marshy. I kind of recognize that secret agent's voice. I was sitting there listening, thinking, I know that voice. Who is it? I know it. It's just got one of those very recognizable voices. I just honestly think it's convenient timing. Absolutely convenient timing that this person saying that he feels 100%, to quote the bloke, 100%. There will be new ownership by the end of the year. Now, this is the contentious part of it. Does he mean the end of the year, as in by New Year's Eve? Bollocks. No, it's not going to happen. We saw with the protracted situation with the Newcastle takeover, how long that takes. Takeover deals take months to sort out. Now, of course, it's been well documented that the club have put a stupid price tag on the club for a long period of time. It's never going to be met while we don't own the stadium. We also know that when it comes a time when West Ham can buy the stadium, that's when they'll sell, because they won't get shit for all that we've got to sell is the four training grounds. That's it.
Pretty much.
There's nothing else. There are no other assets to West Ham at all, apart from the players and the training grounds. That's it. We don't own anything else. No club will buy a football ground without having a stadium. No consultant would do it. No, absolutely no consultant would do it. Does he mean that? Is he using the Sky Sports terminology that everybody loves to use? That the end of the year, meaning the end of this coming football season? Potentially, maybe. There's a few people have said that few reliable sources have been saying that David Sullivan's had enough and he wants to sell the club. Fine, as we've all been saying, just come out and say it. Say that. Just do what Ashley did. So look, I've reached the end of my ability to move this club forward. It's time to find new owners. Just say it.
Well, I don't think it'll be given to Jack Sullivan. I just think that is not going to happen. Now, the thing with Spence
hang on, sorry, mate. Why are you bringing Jack Sullivan into this?
Comment. Imagine they stayed and handed it over to young Jack. Think I'd start supporting someone else. It was I just don't think that's ever going to happen. So thank fuck for that on that perspective. The thing with Spence...
Well, this is why, for one, they won't sell till 23 when we're in League Two. But this is the point, mate. This is the point we're making. As I said, that I said earlier, until 23. If we go down to the Championship, they will never. There's no way in hell they get the money that they wanted for the current price tag. Which and it's. But this is the stupid thing about it. As I said, it's just the fact that it's just convenient. Now, as I said, Spencer and the secret agent guy, both of them put their reputations on the line having that conversation live on his YouTube account. Now, apparently Spencer knows the bloke behind it. Apparently they are friends, so this is the reason why they have the conversation. So he trusts them, and fair enough. Just because the guy feels that 100% is going to happen doesn't necessarily mean that it will. And I really hope that if we don't have a new investor into the club by this time next year, nobody goes for Fletcher on this. Goes for Spencer on this, because he's just having a conversation with somebody. That's it.
I've watched Spencer on YouTube well before the #United days, way back when he was doing his FIFA content. Now, the OGs remember his FIFA content. I think Darren,
ignore him.
Wind up, merchant, I swear. Spence he's a good bloke. We know that he wouldn't say anything unless he was more than prepared to put his reputation on the line. This ITK secret agent fella, he's fueling speculation. I have to agree. If it's going to be the end of 2020, no chance. Look at Newcastle. Look at the shambles that turned into. The end of the season, to a point, but if anything, it's going to be the end of 2021. Let's be real here. That's probably the earliest we're likely to see things. I don't know what to make of it. I don't think this is convenience. I think there is truth here, considering X has mumbled a couple of things very, very similar on Twitter, but at the same time, I think I do think there is going to be a sale in the future. It's not going to be now. It's not going to be at the end of the year. I think maybe within the next 18 to 24 months, yes. But it's going to be interesting. Going back to Darren, no, you cheeky bastard. I'm staying awake for the Bournemouth game because
it's past his bloody bedtime. So I don't know what he's bloody complaining about. It's past his bloody bedtime.
Don't get me started on that. I could wind up in some serious trouble. But no, I think I just
What I mean, what I mean by convenience, mate, is just the fact that it's just the timing is too good to be genuine. It's too good to be genuine. Right in the middle of when this whole GSB out movement has been making some movement for a good few months. It's right in the middle of it. Is the timing too good to be true? Potentially. Do we know that these are legitimate? No. I guarantee one of the three people consultants they're talking about isn't right, because apparently one of them is the same consortium that's trying to take over Newcastle. There's no way in hell that they would come back. No, there's no logical thinking behind the Saudi investment bank to have that conversation when they've just been rejected from the Premier League because of all the political stuff that was floating around with their attempt to take over Newcastle. It's just not going to happen. I honestly think the third one is because it's a bit of a lazy link, to be honest with you, because I know at the time there was, before they approached Newcastle to do the takeover, they apparently were interested in West Ham. That's fine. I haven't got an issue with that. What I do have an issue with, as I said, is the fact that when they were rejected by the Premier League. They pulled out of the Premier League, I should say. Premier League takeover is because apparently the Premier League were taking too long on their decision. There's no way you go back for exactly the same sort of football club under the same rulership. Say, right, okay, well, if you don't want us to buy Newcastle, can we buy West Ham? They'll do exactly. They have to do the diligence rule state. They have to do the same thing. They have to do the same thing.
The fact that they're not prepared to wait for the Premier League to come back with a likely yes option anyway, that just screams something dodgy is going on. And as much as I'd love to see Newcastle in decent hands, I do think they have to wait quite some time. I think we do have to wait as well. I know we want to get rid of the stooge, the midget, and the prima donna, but I don't think. The time is running out. Yes, I will agree with everyone there, but I think at the same time, 18 to 24 months at the least. It's a fair shout. And, look, I'll be happy to challenge anyone with that timeline, because I think 2 years at a minimum, it's as once the Premier League actually investigate all of this, it gets put through the FA and all that sort of thing. It's going to be about that long anyway. Given the fact that as potential owners, you do have to wait. These guys have proven they're not good at waiting.
Yeah,
one of these things again just doesn't add up.
What happens with new money, mate. It's what happens with new money consortiums. I mean, it's you look at Abramovich. The story behind that was one of the funniest things I read a few years ago after it came out a few years after he took over Chelsea. It was a toss of a coin between him buying either Spurs or Chelsea, and apparently the Chelsea's won on the day that he was thinking about which team to buy. That's how much money that bloke had at the time. Yeah, literally flipped a gold coin and went, right, okay, it's Chelsea. It's just the one thing that people don't seem to understand as well, and I'm saying about the fan base in general, not just anybody that watches YouTube, just the fan base in general. It's financial fair play rules, as I keep saying. Players, companies just can't go straight in and go, right, I want to buy you, bomb. No, you have to show you the diligence. You have to show that you can put up the money that you've got. You have to show the fact that you've got a plan for the club, etc., etc. These rules didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah,
because of the way that not just in the Premier League but across all of UEFA, in Ligue 1 and all Spanish leagues, all the French leagues, etc., etc. It applies to everybody. This is why clubs aren't being bought every 3 or 4 years. Is because they have rules that they have to be adhered to in order to be bought out first and foremost. People think that buying a football club or buying football players is like how you do it on Championship Manager or Football Manager or FIFA. It's not a case of click offer. I mean, even in those games, you have to counteract your offer and all that sort of stuff. They try to make it as simple as possible. Yeah. The fact is, it's not like a case of we don't have, as football fans, we have no say whatsoever. We have no way of preventing anything that happens. You know, there was a poll that was done 2013-14 season, I think it was, given to the board, that showed 83 or 84% were against the move. They didn't batter an eyelid. Polls are polls. You know, that we have no power. As much as I hate to say it, as much as anybody as a football supporter would hate to admit it to themselves, we love the club more than these owners. And it's not just us; it's all football teams. And, you know, apologies for, I can't remember who put it up earlier, but I think it might have been Tone that was saying about football clubs being run as businesses, etc., etc. Yeah,
it was.
And you know, and that's what it is. And this is why we can't take it as football supporters, because we love this club a lot more than the people that are invested in it. I guarantee.
Well, Mark's been absolutely spot on. Rules are made by the super rich clubs so others can't compete.
Yeah.
Fucking A. It's pathetic at the fact
it's right but wrong at the same point. The rules are, I know where he's coming from with it.
Yes.
Because we're all governed by exactly the same rules, and it isn't made by Liverpool, it isn't made by Real Madrid, it isn't made by PSG, it's made by UEFA and everybody, and FIFA and all those sort of stuff. Those are the guys that make those rules up. But it's the ones that pay attention to what those rules are, have a long-term plan, invest properly, not just in football players, but in the backroom staff, on the training grounds, scouting networks. I want to see more scouts before we think about more players. If you think about it from that point of view, I want us to have something very similar to how Gonzo was talking about a few months ago when he made the comparison between ours and Southampton's and Spurs and etc. etc. Yeah, we need to have a proper background plan before a foreground plan. If you can't plan, if you don't have the people to make the right decisions, it's only going to get worse. It's not just with football clubs. It's every single company. You know, even if some of you guys who may be plumbers and electricians and all that sort of game, you've got to have a strategy of how you're going to get yourself the money in that year. How are you going to be able to afford to pay your rent? How are you going to be able to afford to pay your any employees that you've got? How are you going to be able to make sure that you've got enough income coming in so you can go on holiday every year? Those are the short-term plans that everybody has to do. Football teams have and all mass, companies that own 200 or 300 employees have to have a plan 7 or 8 years down the line. Have to be planning for at least a decade beforehand, before the current position that they're in. We ain't doing that. We're not as a board itself. We're not even planning for the end of next season.
No,
we're planning for 2.5 weeks' time. It's ridiculous.
It is.
It really does my head in.
It's mind-blowing to see the patheticness, the absolute shithousery that Gold, Sullivan and Brady are trying to pull on us. We're not dumb. We are the working class.
Even though the working class aren't the working class anymore, mate. I hate to say it, because I class myself as part of it. Working class people never used to go on golfing holidays. Would only be able to afford the deals to the all-inclusive packages to Benidorm and all that sort of stuff. Working class people didn't have houses worth £200,000 or £300,000. you know, I mean, even what's his name, Paul Grady, a few years ago, the comedian, did a program about people working in the call centers of insurance companies and all that sort of stuff. You know, Vodafone, all that sort of lot. He said that call centers are the equivalent of working in factories. And he's absolutely spot on. The working conditions when you work in a call. I've done it myself. A lot of guys that are probably watching this have done that in certain times themselves. Working in a call center is horrible work. And I want
to go back to Keith's comment in response to what Kieran said, because Kieran was like, bang on, JP, morally, the Saudis are the last people I want at West Ham, in my opinion. And then Keith comes back with, no, I've had enough of this. We deserve better. Yeah, Keith, I absolutely agree completely. I've had enough of it as well. But the Saudis are the last people I want at this club. When you are looking at potential investors from a country that is being investigated for human rights violations ahead of a international football event, that raises questions.
Completely.
That these guys that are trying to buy Newcastle are part of the Saudi royal family, Saudi Arabia. You know, it's the same with the Qataris as well, in particular. Mm-hmm. Sorry, yes, the Qataris are the ones with the human rights violations. Mark, spot on, blood money. Yeah. Do you want to be part of a club that arguably cleans bloody money up? Not me. I don't. No way. I would much rather have the Americans in, or hell, even another consortium of Icelandics, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Over Keith, the Saudis
Keith,
or the Qataris.
What I will ask you to do, mate, is don't argue somebody's opinion. Just because your opinion doesn't match with theirs, don't do it.
I'm Simple not arguing with it.
Respect him. Respect his opinion. Yeah. Don't say
I'm purely adding my opinion in.
Yeah, great. No. I'm
not necessarily arguing, but
no. Well, you are to a degree because you're making a contradictory opinion, contradictory stance. But at the same point, I know what you mean there, AJ. But you know, but as I say, I don't want anyone saying no just for someone's opinion. I mean, people don't agree. People don't agree with me, and that's fine. I just don't want to see people saying no. It's Keith, you're right. Yeah, you did. You put it a lot better than it came across. So that so that's fine. That's the issue. But this is one thing I hate about. I mean, I got criticised on Claret Blue Army TV on Thursday night for being called a hypocrite because I renewed for my season. I'm a supporter of the football club. I like going to watch them play. Doesn't mean I support the board. And as I said, this is barring a miracle. This is my last season as a season ticket holder, barring a miracle.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I wanted to. So the reason why I wanted to go back to that was because Keith raised a very good point, as did Kieran. You know, two fantastic opinions were brought up. This, for me, is one of those opportunities that we can have a bit of a debate. Yes, I do have the higher ground if you really want to get nitpicky about it, because I can instantly reply back, whereas Keith does have to type things out. But for the most part, I am agreeing with Kieran, but I'm also agreeing with Keith as well, because all of us just want the same thing for our club, and that is financial stability, good football, and decent players. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yes, I got the Saudis and the Qataris confused. I know. I'll admit it. I'm a piece of shit when it comes to that.
What geography?
Yeah, funnily enough, considering it was the one topic at school I loved.
I
and
know. That's
ask
why
for flying
That's why I
colours.
specifically said it, because I remember you telling me about it.
But when I'm presented with an opportunity to really go on a bit of a spiel, I'm going to take it. I know I shouldn't be. I'm just a guest, but the
No,
opportunity was there, and I thought,
yeah, no, mate. Your opinion's as valid as everybody else's, unfortunately. But
yeah,
but it's this is the thing. It's just the fact, and Dell's 100% right. Sky, Facebook, Twitter are back with Saudi cash, but they're back with
yep,
slightly different versions of it. That's
yep,
the thing. It's not from the public investment group.
yep,
So the Public Investment Foundation, whatever, the PIF, because as I say, they're a customer of the business that I work for. One of the hundreds of thousands of customers we've got. So this is why I've been saying it for months, that there's no way they were going to put the money up. I honestly think that's the reason why they pulled out, was because they were saying, right, prove you've got this money available. Because let's not forget, it's exactly the same situation as Sullivan with his cash. I'll be very surprised if he's got enough money in his personal bank account. If financial fair play rules weren't in as stringent place as they are, which means that you can put your money in left, right, and centre, which is what Abramovich used to do, which is what technically the Man City owners are still trying to do. You can't do that anymore. And even if it was, all of his money's tied up in real estate.
yeah.
That's it.
No,
He might be one of the most richest people in England, but he's got no liquid assets, man. He's got no money available to him other than what he's. I mean, even I honestly think that he probably hasn't got much more than available in his bank account than how much we originally paid for Hugo.
yep,
Simple as that.
absolutely spot on. Well, I don't know about you, but I think might be a good time to potentially wrap this up.
Yes, it's gone a lot longer than I was planning, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to watch the friendly the way this is going. But yeah,
And I've got a couple of things to do.
Yeah, me both, mate. And but guys, it's been brilliant to have you all on as usual, and thank you to everybody that's been involved in it. And it's great to see new faces in here as well. VN, thank you for joining. Kay, of course, thank you for popping in as well. If you guys have enjoyed this and you want to see more content that's coming up, and of course Jason Baker as well for that matter, thank you guys. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Don't read too much into whatever happens in the season, in the preseason game today. Then because at the end of the day, it's about fitness. It's not about the result. I'll be more actually just before we go. Actually, there is one thing I just want to say that that Jason did actually say. Would love. Said, I would love team to show owners their disrespect to them before today's day. I mean, I think he means the pitch, the game. The only way, Jason, that they would be able to do that properly is not play.
Yeah.
Stand about, jog around. It's the only scenario that they should be able to do that. It's just literally just jog about. And to say, look, enough's enough. We're not playing for you. We're playing for the fans, because there's no fans there today. There might be a few scattered around the stadium, but outside, I should say. But yeah, it's not about them. It's about us in general. But guys, thank you very much for your time. Take care of yourselves. As I say, the Newcastle preview will be coming out. On Thursday evening at 8 o'clock for Rick and for Wally. For Rick and for Wally, who are Patreons, you'll be able to see it on Wednesday night. But in the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next Saturday. For the live watch along with Newcastle, unless anything decent breaks over the next few days. We'll have the usual Wednesday evening conversation. All the best.